All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is pretty safe to say that Genshin Impact's current Abyss 12, current floor 12 in the Abyss is not really a good time, despite what some content creators in the Genshin Impact space specifically might be saying. And this is the thing, no ill feelings towards the CC that you guys are all seeing over here, Mr. Seka. The only ill feelings that I have when it comes to this entire situation is, unfortunately, the community of dumb little children that he's cultivated across his career. And that's not really his fault. It's the fact that he streams Genshin Impact for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. That's naturally gonna draw dumbasses to your stream like honey attracts bears. And so with that, what I'm gonna do is just break down a response that we've seen from the Seka community regarding an Abyss clear that I had. Basically, what Seka did was he kind of like pocket watched my clear that I was doing just to see how absurd the HP inflation in the game has gotten. You can see it's kind of going pretty high, where I think some of the floors, right, some of the enemies, they're at around 8.5, 9 million HP, when of course, right, the game just in version 4.0 wasn't even hitting 4 million HP. And so since version 4.0, they've more than doubled the amount of HP that's on the floors. Just so you know, since version 4.0 of the game, when Fontaine was released, they've more than doubled the HP of the game moving into version 5.5. And you can see over here, boy, oh boy, that is not looking very good at all. Especially, right, if you were somebody that was clearing the Abyss, doing all of this stuff, and you're still using the same roster, barely a year and a half later, you're getting your ass fucking cooked. And so with that, let's just go ahead and read this response from a member of his, let's just be honest over here, damaged community, and talk a little bit about it. Saint get absolutely destroyed by Seka Goat, proving that there is zero problem with the new Abyss. It's just a skill issue from these Kuru bots. We own Genshin, and Seka an apology for shit-talking Seka. W Seka. Let's just watch the clip real fast. This is the sort of pocket watching that I'm talking about. That's with a 1 minute. That's like a 1 minute fucking. So we can see over here, we're having a lot of fun at my expense. And we're also, I guess, celebrating as well. I think he's just glad to see somebody actually playing the game that he does. Because let's be real here, not a lot of people are actively, I feel like, enjoying Genshin Impact at the moment. So I guess he's glad to see what's going on. That's a little bit of the context of what happened over here. Seka then proceeded to go ahead and do his own clear. And so what you're going to see over here on the side, you're going to see characters like Nahida, you're going to see characters like Farina, you're going to see Kuki Shinobu. Actually, the same team that I was using, right? Actually, the same team, or sorry, not the same team that I was using. Basically, Seka's going ahead and with his account, he's using characters like, I'm gonna be real here, C2 Nahida, C2 Farida, which are, let's just be honest here, some of the strongest constellations in Genshin Impact. They improve the damage efficiency of your team to levels that probably don't really make sense at all. There's some of the biggest upgrades that the character can have. And you can see over here, he's barely clearing at 7 minutes. If you go below 7 minutes, if you go to 6:59, you are officially not in 3-star territory anymore. And so with one of the arguably strongest teams in the game, Mr. Seka was barely clearing with 7 minutes. And you want to know who was on the first side? A C2 Arlecchino. Yeah, on the first side, he had a C2 Arlecchino. So collectively, that is 6 constellations worth of teammates, and we're barely clearing with 7 minutes on the floor. Oh, they all have their best in slot weapon as well. Can't forget that one. And so we're going ahead and we're using the backing of, instead of just 8 limited characters in our clear, we're using basically the equivalent of about 14 limited characters in our clear. 3 C2s, and we're barely clearing at 7 minutes. When these teams in the past Abysses, believe me, they'd be wiping that shit with like a minute left, with at least 45 seconds left, maybe a minute 30 left, because of how strong those characters are. And in the current state, where we are over here, that's barely cutting it. And so we're making a lot of excuses, right? We're making a lot of excuses. We're saying it's skill issue, but how much of it is actually a skill issue when the guy who's playing this game for 8 hours a fucking day used the same teams that I did with more investment than I did, frankly, to be honest, and is barely clearing it with 7 fucking minutes on the clock. Yeah. So that was a response over here. And unfortunately, there was some glue provided. But you're gonna have to break your neck to actually see what's going on over here. I'm sorry for the fact that a lot of the chat might be... I'm not even gonna do it. I'm just gonna listen. Rotation, and bro took like 1/4 of his HP.
Yeah. That happens when you don't keep up with the meta in Genshin, and I think the game's easier.
Oh gosh. I mean... Oh, dearie me.
This is what happens.
I mean, everything here is hydro immune, so it's like I can't really... Keyword that he said over here, I start complaining about the lack of damage that I'm dealing. The fact that when I'm going into this Abyss floor, I'm having an awful experience compared to what I had before. And Seka, right? The guy that they're saying is like the king of mitigating skill issue and the best player ever, literally says, this is what happens when you don't keep up with the meta. I agree with him. Me not doing that much damage is a result of me not keeping up with the meta. And the reason why I need to keep up with the meta is quite simple. Because these devs are inflating the HP in the game like fucking crazy. Where, again, from version 4.0 of the game to version 5.5, we have more than doubled the HP in the Spiral Abyss. We have more than doubled the HP in the Spiral Abyss of Floor 12 since version 4.0 of the game, since Fontaine started. And frankly, if we look at the end of Fontaine, honestly, that's about just straight doubling, right? Version 4.7, version 4.8 to now, that's about 7 versions, and they've doubled the HP. 100% increase. Yeah, right. A little bit stinky. Not really the best player experience. And when they're releasing characters like, let's just be honest here, Mavuika, who have raised the damage ceiling in the game to super high levels. Mavuika's team with like Sitlali and Jelonin is raising the damage ceiling in the game to levels it has never seen before. Well, people are gonna pull those units and be like, version 5.3, right? They're like, oh, it's too easy. Mavuika gets released, look at 5.4. Boom! Look at that. Right after the release of Mavuika, a patch later, the HP goes that high. Because guess what? When you release a new unit that does a fuck ton of damage, and then people bring that into your previously balanced content, and they're like, wow, this content is too easy now. The game starts getting balanced around you having the newest overpowered unit, which in this case is the Mavuika Sitlali Jelonin combo. And the game becomes balanced around you owning those 3 characters. And if you don't, well, you might as well just go fuck yourself. Because your team of C2 characters is now going to start clearing at 7 minutes. Because the C2 characters that you have are not Mavuika. They're not Sitlali. They're not Jelonin. They're the older ones. And we don't play with those toys anymore. We gotta play with the newest shit. And that's just proof right here. That's just evidence. And if you don't believe me, you can take it from the guy who's playing it for 8 hours a day. You're not gonna do any damage. You're gonna have a terrible time clearing if you don't keep up with the meta, i.e. take your wallet out, let Dewey ravage it for 3 patches in a row. And if you don't let him do that, just go fuck yourself. And that's kind of like it. Not to mention the fact, right? Oh, okay. There's a guide by somebody in the Genshin community on how to deal with a boss. And what this boss does is it summons pillars that only the Natlan characters and some other units in the game are really able to like easily deal with in a timely manner. And then after you break those pillars, it becomes vulnerable for a very short period of time. And if you don't break those pillars that are on top of the walls that you have to climb, well, it has a 60% damage reduction. So if you don't break the pillars, you might as well just decide that you're not going to clear. We have a guide based off the model of like how to simply climb a pillar. This is showing you how to climb a fucking pillar. Right? There's like special areas that if you don't time it correctly, you get fucked and you're not able to do it. Right? There's a different area for each model. There's a different area for each model that you have to keep in mind. You literally need a guide on how to climb something in Genshin Impact. Imagine doing this in the Spiral Abyss, trying to locate, right? Like, look at the fucking zoom in that he got going on. Like, locate the exact spot. Remember, the precise geography. The precise geography of the goddamn rock, just so you can break it, the boss, and make it vulnerable. Bro literally has a tier list on what characters are able to climb the pillars. Some models actually can't. Some of them actually can't climb the pillar. Like if you're playing Chlorind, go fuck yourself. And you want to know the best part about all of it? This is what climbing the pillar looks like for a Natlan character. That boss is currently in the Spiral Abyss. I gave up on that boss because it was such a big pain in my fucking ass. That boss is in the Spiral Abyss. Guess who's on banner right now? Guess who's on banner in Genshin Impact? Yeah, it's her. Yeah, Xilonen. They put the boss that's an absolute pain in the absolute dickhole to deal with if you don't have a Natlan character, and they have the Natlan character with the easiest way to deal with it on banner right now. Do keep in mind that this stall mechanic, which again, this boss has a 60% damage reduction and is basically not killable in the time limit unless you break these pillars. That's on top of the HP inflation. That is on top of the HP doubling since version 4.8 or 4.7. It also has a boss that has absolutely cancerous stall mechanics that mainly the Natlan characters are easily able to deal with. What is going on here? What is going on here? Are these devs genuinely this greedy? Are these devs actually, they've gone beyond exploration quality of life locked behind limited banners. They've added that quality of life into the fucking boss battles, where if you don't have the characters, the fight becomes incredibly annoying, where you gotta do literally shit like this. Why do I need a guide on how to climb something in Genshin Impact? A guide, a 6-minute, 30-second video on how to climb something in Genshin Impact. This is how low these devs are willing to go, to nickel and dime you for your wallet, just so you can have a gameplay experience that isn't annoying the shit out of you and frustrating you beyond belief. This game has become a matter of, if you don't pay, we're gonna make your life in this game fucking miserable. We're going to ruin your experience in this game unless you give us money. This isn't a matter of you give us money and we make and the game becomes more fun. The game becomes unfun unless you pay us. And people are so invested, right? People have spent so much money. There's so many sunk costs that this is what they're doing. Just in the boss fights. And then they put the HP inflation as well. So you better pull Mavawika. You better pull Mavawika and Sitlali together on their dual banner, which they've never done before, where both characters are released at the same time. Where both characters are released at the same goddamn time. And then their 20 pulls for Lantern Rite are delayed until after Sitlali and Mavawika's banners end. You better have both of them, and Xilonen too, otherwise you won't be able to deal with this HP inflation. Boy, oh boy. And guess what? Genshin Impact isn't the only game that they're doing this in. I'm gonna be real here. Genshin Impact is actually one of the most recent games that they've been doing this in. Oh wait, there's more. Of course, we have to talk about the actual elephant in the room when it comes to rampant fucking power creep, and that's of course going to be Honkai Shit Rail. This game has gotten so out of hand with the amount of HP inflation and rampant power creep that has gone on. It's absolutely fucking absurd. And this is what I think. I think that the HSR devs basically saw how much money they were making by forcing people, right, to essentially pull E2 of units, pull every single light cone, pull every single limited character so you can
build your Super Break team, so you can keep using your Super Break team after RMC is released, so you can match up all the follow-up characters with the follow-up characters, because your Topaz is useless unless you pull Fei Zhao, and then your Fei Zhao needs the Adventurine, and then that team needs the Robin,
and then it's just all, like, basically, it's just, they made it like this intricate fucking ecosystem where you can't just have one character, you need to have all of them, and then you need the fucking Eidolons and the light cones as well. Otherwise, you might as well just go fuck yourself if you're trying to clear. Because, let's be honest here, this is not a straight line when it comes to the HP in the game. It's just going up. It's just going up every single patch. And sure, there was like a bit of a discrepancy over here where one of the HPs went down for a little bit, but guess what? It just went all the way back up anyways. Yeah, over here, boom, boom. Yeah, okay. They might look like they were stopping for a little bit on just the blue side, but guess what? It's just going all the way back up anyways. And it's the same in every game mode. It's the same photo in every game mode. APOC shadow? Yep. Pure fiction? Yep. It's just going up. And so the devs probably saw, man, we're losing players like crazy because of our rampant fucking power creep and HP inflation, but we're still making a decent amount of money. I guess this predatory tactic works. Instead of providing value and meaningful content to players, we're just gonna make the existing content unplayable unless you pay us. And people are, again, so invested. There's so many sunk costs that they're just doing it. They're just shelling out the cash so that they don't feel like all of their previous time, all of their previous expenditures is just going down the fucking drain. Because nobody wants to feel like they've wasted their time. Nobody wants to feel like they've wasted their money. That's why the sunk cost fallacy exists. And these devs are just at the point where they're abusing it like crazy. They are abusing that mentality of players that don't want to waste their life, essentially. And they're using it to extract as much money out of them as possible. They did it here first. HSR was the beta test, and now they're doing it in Genshin Impact. This is disgusting. And this is the thing. This is probably the worst part about all of it. And this is where I'm gonna have to call out some fucking CCs, right? This is probably the biggest example of power creep and HP inflation that Genshin Impact has ever had. This entire situation over here. And I'm gonna be real here, right? After these massive examples of power creep in Genshin, we have CCs vehemently defending it. Right? We have CCs basically saying it's a skill issue. Oh, just play better and rotate better. Oh, just use this team better, blah, blah, blah. It's not the game's fault. It's the player's fault for allowing this power creep to happen and allowing this HP inflation to, to occur. It's happened in Genshin Impact. This is called toxic positivity. Unfortunate, but it's going on. When this was happening in Honkai Star Rail, HP inflation, right? That was going ahead and causing massive issues, causing players to quit the game in droves, making their teams absolutely useless. All their 1.0 characters like their Blades, their Jinglus, all useless. Well, we got this absolute fucking gem of a fucking response out of it. We got this absolute fucking gem of a response from Mr. Jokey out of it. And I still think to this day, he doesn't think this take was wrong. But that's what takes like this leads to. Where instead of calling out what the problems are with the game, guys, well, we're just saying they don't exist and it's the player's fault. That they should be able to manage it. I.e., pull all the newest characters, keep up with the meta. It's the same argument that Mr. Seka Joko said over here, right? It's the same argument that Mr. Seka Joko said over here. Just keep up with the meta. Pull all the newest units. Mr. Pokey said, keep up with the meta. Pull all the newest units. And if you don't, well, not being able to clear is your fault. Not being able to clear is your fault. And it's happened in both games. And guess what? Both games are in an awful fucking spot. They're not very fun to play. They feel like dog shit to play. That Spiral Abyss was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. I usually thought that my MOC clear over here was one of the worst experiences I ever had. It just got worse with every single update. Yeah, the MOC just gets worse with every update. I don't even do apocalyptic ass anymore. Yeah, and pure fiction, more like pure fuck you. A pure fuck you from the devs. None of these game modes are enjoyable anymore. And the reason for that is that I don't pull the newest characters. I don't keep up with the meta. I don't want to feel forced into pulling units that I don't want to pull just to keep up with endgame content. But that's what the devs have decided makes them money. And unfortunately, when we have so many members of the community, right, especially some of the bigger CCs, the bigger faces of these games, just saying, just pull better, bro. Just pull the newest units. Who cares if you don't want them? Who cares if you've invested hundreds of hours into building your other characters? Just pull the newest units. And you want to know the worst part about all of it? It's happening in ZZZ2. It's happening in ZZZ2. And there are a lot of people, right, who have had harsh critiques for me regarding my take on ZZZ's HP inflation, right? The fact that I look at data from 1.4, Miyabi's release and the ultimate change, to now in 1.6 and 1.7, where the HP has increased over 41%. Over 41% in literally 2 patches in ZZZ. People are saying, what's the issue? This is natural. Oh, it's all just the ultimate changes. How are you asking what the issue is, knowing that Hoyo is the publisher of this game? And they've done this in 2 other games in the span of like 6 months. They've ruined both games. They've literally ruined both endgames in the span of 6 months and devalued so many units on the roster just because they fucking felt like it. In 6 months, they've done that to 2 games. And you're asking why people should be concerned about ZZZ? Is this real life? There's no way that we have this little ability to recognize patterns, right? There's no way that we're not able to admit that this company Hoyoverse is intentionally doing this to drive more sales and abuse your investment, your prior investment into the game, and use that to shill and sell more characters by making the endgame absolutely fucking unplayable unless you pull all the newest units. And when the same thing is beginning to occur in ZZZ, well, this is the type of shit we're saying. When I say ZZZ is the new HSR and there's an HP inflation problem, and there literally is one happening, and we've seen the impact that it has on HSR, and we're just saying,
Oh, this dude Sate is a tourist. Holy moly. He doesn't play the game 8 hours a day like us. He doesn't play the game 8 hours a day like us because we've got nothing better to do with our fucking lives. He just has to be a tourist. Skill issue. He just needs to play better.
it's the same photo. It's the same take. It's the same photo. It's the same take. It's the same photo. It's the same take. Over and over and over again. We just say the same exact things: skill issue, tourist, pull better, keep up with the meta, as the game is actively getting ruined. We just repeat the same exact goddamn things over and over, the same excuses, the same justifications, as these games are progressively getting worse every single fucking update. And when it's the same thing is happening to ZZZ, the game hasn't even been a year into fucking launch. We just got the same exact arguments. We just got the same exact arguments. Tourist, skill issue, he needs to pull better, blah, blah, blah. And boy, oh boy, it's a little bit depressing. It's a little bit depressing to see how a company has been able to downgrade their gameplay experience to everybody who basically isn't paying to play. It's insane what they're doing. Happened in Genshin, happened at HSR. It's currently happening to ZZZ. And this is what the ZZZ community is going to do to you if you try to point it out. This is what the ZZZ community will do to try to smear your reputation and smear your name if you just want what's happening in HSR, what's happening in Genshin, if you don't want that to happen in ZZZ. And that's the issue. That's the problem. And it's insane. Like, members of the community are basically just letting this happen. They're just letting this happen to them. And they've got no complaints at all. Dway's just coming in with this giant fucking power creep bomb, and they're readily accepting it. And boy, oh boy, who knows what's gonna happen in the future? Who knows what's gonna happen with these games? I don't think that Hoyo's putting any effort anymore into actually selling their characters or selling their units based off, you know, actual value or story integration or appeal. They're just making the content in the game fucking unplayable unless you pull them. And so I guess what's going to have to actually occur for these games is that they just become story-based games. I think that you just have to play these games as story-based games. I think that you have to recognize that the end game, the MOC, the Spiral Abyss, Shiyu Defense, they are now pay-to-play game modes. Pretend that those game modes don't exist unless you're willing to pay to play. These are no longer free-to-play games when you consider the end game. They're only free-to-play for the story. And when you get that sort of mindset, I think once you establish that and you recognize that, you'll probably have a much better time actually, you know, absorbing the content and feeling good about what you're doing in the game. I would just say for now, unless there are some big changes made and actual addressed by the developers, something to actually mitigate the actual garbage that we've been seeing in these recent months, I think that's just going to have to be the reality for Hoyoverse games moving forward. Free to play, but only for the story. Everything else, get your wallet ready or go fuck yourself. Last thing that we might add on into the video. Mr. Y, ZZZ game designer, literally just told players to utilize the training mode to learn a deeper understanding of agent skills, combos, kits, etc. at Zenless Zone 0. Now y'all absolutely have the words from the horse's mouth to say skill issue. I love this. I guess we have another CC saying the same exact thing. I guess we just have another CC saying the same exact thing. Hey, there's no HP inflation. HP inflation's not a problem. You know, it doesn't matter. Skill issue, just get better at the game, just pull better. It's all just the same thing over and over and over again, right? It's all kind of just the same exact thing over and over and over again. We see all the issues in front of us, and we're going to make excuses for it as the quality of these games just progressively goes down every single patch and every single update. Let me know what you all think. Peace.